Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to BLAW Live. This is Bishop Larry Ward, and we do Bishop Larry Ward on Tuesday evenings. Thank you so much for being a part of this time that we have to share with you. We are always aiming to encourage, to inspire, and also give you some things that will help you to grow and to educate you in some of the areas as well. So thank you so much for being a part of our Tuesday night BLAW Live program. Tonight we have a special guest with us, as we do many times in our BLAW Live sessions. We talk about some real current issues and things that we hope that will be a blessing to you. So send someone a text and send someone a chat or something to let them know that we're on. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you like what you hear, you can always also go back to the archives and you can look at our previous sessions of BLAW Lives of various guests that we had on to share on so many different topics. Tonight, our guest is Reverend Kenneth Hite, and he is going to be sharing with us tonight. I want to give you just a little bit about him before we just get into our discussion. Elder Kenneth Hite Jr. grew up in Dorchester, Massachusetts. He's the oldest of two children. They're from the John D. O'Brien School of Mathematics and Science in the city of Boston. He went and attended University of Massachusetts, Boston, earning a Bachelor of Science in Business Management in 2010. And Kenneth also has earned a Master of Arts in Urban Ministry and Leadership from Gordon-Conwell Theological Seminary in 2019. He also served as assistant pastor at the Emmanuel Temple Pentecostal Church in Roxbury, which is really a neighborhood right next to Dorchester. And he now continues to follow the Lord in serving in areas of youth and young adult. He's also a preacher and a speaker, and he has done so many things in terms of training with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And Kenneth enjoys reading, enjoys writing, and spending time with family and friends. And so this evening, we are so delighted to have Reverend Kenneth Hite with us, and he's with us tonight. And we're going to be talking about a very important subject today about mentoring. And we also has a story to share with us about what we can do to heal from grief and loss. So Kenneth, thank you for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing? And thank you for allowing me to be here.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. And so we're going to get right into tonight, and we're going to be talking a little bit about mentoring. So first of all, you're a pastor in a church. You're an elder in the church. You're a leader in the church. Can you talk a little bit about your journey to this place of leadership, and kind of just give us some understanding of where you come, and we'll talk a little bit more about the people in your life. But just tell us a little bit about how you actually have become a leader in ministry.
Yeah, so I grew up so all my life I grew up going to Emmanuel Temple Pentecostal Church in Dorchester, like right on the Dorchester-Roxbury line, literally like across a block in Roxbury, and grew up there all my life. And so I would say it was around the time, it was actually during my senior year of college. I was playing on the men's basketball team at UMass Boston, and my second year on the team, I actually fractured my wrist. And so that season was done, but a couple of months, actually a month later after I got my cast, I remember my former pastor, when I grew up under, William Weeks, he had then actually made me a junior deacon at the church. And that I felt like that was when I kind of started this progression in leadership and servanthood and in ministry at the church. So I started out as a junior deacon. Some years later, became a minister, and I honestly just felt the call of God on my life leading into ministry. And from there, after Pastor Weeks had passed away, his son, Pastor Kevin Weeks, he then became the pastor of our church. And in 2018, he had made me the assistant pastor. And so it just over time, I just saw and felt a progression. And I just felt year after year, the Lord kind of just dealing with me and moving me into leadership, leading me into preaching, into teaching. And what I would say was a confirmation to those things was God was placing me in positions or allowing opportunities to present itself where it would develop me and help me to grow, where I could see, okay, this is definitely leading more towards ministry, or this is definitely what God wants me to do to enhance my speaking ability. So just over time, I could just see God leading and directing me with ministry.
Oh, so when you're looking at the path that you are on, how has mentoring played a role? You mentioned some very key people even along the journey. So what was it like to really learn from different people along that journey?
It's a great question. I would say one of the things that I've learned was definitely to be more observant, and to also listen, listen more than speak. That's been one of the things that's been helpful for me, and also just being able to ask the right questions. For me, it's been definitely talking to other folks, those that are particularly older than me, just finding out what's worked in their life, what hasn't worked, and from there, I've been able to kind of bounce off of that to know, okay, this is what I should either uh, put into my routine, or this is what I should try to avoid in life. And so I would say the combination of those things. So I should also add, I no longer serve as the assistant pastor at my former church, but definitely during that season of time, it was a blessing to be able just to kind of learn and grow, to be able to share and serve. But I would say over time, it's just been talking to different people, trying to find the way to ask the right questions, doing more listening than speaking. And actually was one thing I remember one of my former employees, not employees, former employer had told me. He told me just, hey, listen, and that will get you far in life. And so that's one of the things I've been striving to do more and more of.
It's good. Anything particular um, learned from mentors? And as you're talking about listening, is there anything maybe that kind of carried you, maybe in times of discouragement, maybe in times of trying to make a decision? What were some of maybe their lessons that you were able to embrace, that you could say, hey, this was really helpful, this was really impacting?
Yeah, one of the things, and I think we'll probably touch on it, we'll definitely touch on it a little further in the conversation, was one of my mentors had always spoke to me about, seeking counseling. And so for me, it was actually having a Christian counselor. I would say that's been one of the greatest things to help me out in regards to just being able to sit down and speak with someone, to be able to bounce ideas off of, or just be able to uh, be in a safe place to be able just to share your thoughts and feelings and to get feedback from it. So I would say that that's one thing I can definitely right off the bat attribute to one of my mentors, that they had just suggested to me that they felt would be good. Another thing would be journaling, just being able to journal your thoughts, your ideas. So I would say those two things are like the practical things that a mentor has shared with me, that I was like, hey, this is what you should definitely do. Um, and I would say those are the things I did do.
It's good. That's very helpful. Um, when it comes to talking with other men, all right, and talking with other men, what is that? How's that been for you? And perhaps of course, your dad to maybe your uncles and maybe brothers in the church. How is that important to a man's life when it comes to talking with other men?
Yeah, it's definitely important, and it's important because you're just able to talk to someone else who may kind of understand like what it is that you go through in life. Be able to talk to someone that's journeyed different avenues and things, particularly just being an African-American male, to be able to talk to other men that get it. They understand, some of the issues that we have to deal with, stereotypes. It's truly needed, and it's important because men, and I can't speak for all the men, but it just seems to be one of the things that we just don't talk. We just don't talk to each other. We're not one to really share our emotions, our feelings, our thoughts. So I think it's really important just to be able to know here, hey, here's another brother that cares, that's concerned, and just wants to be able to just see how you're doing in life. So I think it's very, very needed. And unfortunately, it doesn't happen enough, I think, with just other men. And I think once we're able to just sit down and talk with each other, and put aside our differences, I think that's when things will really help us to be better.
That's good. And so, how important is it now that you're in ministry to continue to have mentors? And so, you have mentors up to the point where you have become, you know, assistant pastor in ministry, and now you're not assistant pastor right now, but you're still doing ministry. How important is it to have mentors right now as a minister?
It's definitely important. So for me personally, I've always wanted to know, like, how do I do something correctly so I don't like have any mistakes. And so for me, it's like I've always wanted to have like a mentor or to talk to someone, so at least I can know, okay, this is how you should approach this, or this is how you should do this, or this is how you should be able to like study and learn and grow. So I think it's truly important because you should never want to stop growing as an individual. And like we'll just put like ministry to the side. Like just as an individual, I think you should always want to grow, learn and develop. Because if you could be a healthy individual, of course you'll be able to do the ministry and service to the Lord more effectively and efficiently. And so I think it's truly important. One of the things I I realized, instead of just trying to pick like one mentor or two mentors, just try to find people that are good in their field or good in their lane. And so in a way, like you can have like 10 to 15 mentors because they're all good in their different areas. So I think it's truly important to have mentors.
Yeah, that's great. I have mentors, and so I still have mentors in my life. And I know that as we're you know talking about mentorship, you are involved in a program, a leadership program called the Voss Urban Leadership. Can you talk about that a little bit in terms of how it really was helpful for your development? And also, I served as your mentor in many of those areas as well. So what was it like for you? And tell the audience that somebody may have to say, "Hey, I really need some mentoring and some leadership skills." And can you tell them what your experience was like?
It was great. So I was a part of a cohort. I want to say there's about 12 of us from Boston, from Greater Boston, that took place in this program that lasted almost 2 years, a year and a half. And there were 5 core values that the DeVos program focused on, which was balance, interdependence, accountability, leverage, and oh goodness, I forget the fifth one. But yeah, there were there were 5 of them, and it was refreshing to be a part of a program that was truly concerned on just addressing us as an individual. Like we all were leaders in our own right, with youth work or just working in schools or in ministry. And this was a program that literally they just focused on, hey, making sure that you're a healthy individual, so that you could be better equipped with tools and resources to be able to help the people that you serve. And so it was phenomenal. And part of it, we had to have a mentor that helped us with those 5 core values, and mainly to also help us to be accountable. We had to come up with a breakthrough plan, something that we want to see happen in our ministries, and then also something we want to see happen on an individual level. And yeah, having the mentor was truly needed. So for me, like even when we'd have our conversations, I would feel guilty because you would ask me questions like, "Hey, like, are you working on this?" And I would be like, haven't even touched it, you know. And but it was good to have that level of accountability. It was good to have someone that would push you and ask you questions, to really get you out of your comfort zone. And so I would say a mentor is truly necessary, for someone that can help push you out of your comfort zone. And I've also realized that having a mentor, it really can go only as far as you want it to go. Like if I'm the one, I also have to put effort in as well in terms of just reaching out, staying in touch, keeping the lines of communication open, and then also just following through, you know, what I set out to do. And so, but I think having a mentor is great, and the mentorship of the DeVos program was truly necessary. Like I actually wish I could go through the program again because knowing now what I know, I definitely would look at things a whole lot differently and really take more advantage of what was presented to me.
Yeah, that it was great working with you. But I tell you one thing, I had to do some heavy shoving sometimes. You know, it was started off with a gentle knock, and then it started to be like, okay, I'm throwing all my weight behind it now. I'm just gonna throw it all in. Every part of me just gotta give the all right, let's go. And so yeah, but you finished and you did well. And you got your breakthrough and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
mentors, you know, sometimes we have to be very pushy and really help our mentees kind of get through. And so that's all part of it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to shift a little bit on our talk tonight, because mentoring is one aspect that really develops us as individuals and as leaders, but also we have moments. We have moments. Moments develop us as well. And I want you to talk about a moment that we shared, where you lost a loved one, and you lost a loved one to gun violence. Uh, can you talk about, you know, what happened, and what was it like, and how did it mold you as a person and a leader?
Yeah, it was it's January 2000, let's say 16. Um I just remember, you know, my yeah, just remember the phone rang early morning, and getting ready. I was actually getting ready to go to work. I actually had training to do at work, and uh, I was informed. You know, mom informed me that, you know, we had got word that there was a deadly shooting, and we think it was my cousin. And I remember going to work. You know, just kind of, well, after she told me that, you know, I immediately like broke down and just really hoping and praying like this news was not true.
Mm.
And I remember going to work, you know, not really focused, but I had to, you know, do this, you know, training, and that was facilitating. It was a diversity training, so I had to facilitate it. And I remember just, you know, just trying to check on my phone, look at the news, see if, you know, find any information. And you know, sure enough, like seeing photos of my cousin and captions "Rest in peace" just totally like
Mm.
shocked me. Um, it definitely was a huge blow. You know, he was only 19, and he just turned 19 like a month prior, and so for him to be gone at such a young age, full of life, funny guy, and we literally grew up together. You know, we all shared like moments together from birthdays, graduations, sporting events. Like he was literally like my sister and I's little brother. Like we just literally grew up together. He spent the night at our house. Like he was just a part of the family. And so for him to be gone was truly tough. And I had, you know, been to funerals. I had, you know, met people who have lost loved ones to violence, but for that it to literally hit, you know, your front doorstep, And when it hits your family member, it totally shifts you to another extreme. And so, from having random times during the day where you're just crying. I remember when we were putting, his collage together and finding photos, just tears just dropping on the paper, because it's like, wow, he's really gone. And it was tough spiritually, because it's like, we pray to the Lord for protection, and then you're just hoping, like, Lord, why did this have to happen? And not that I doubt God, but it's just those moments in life where you're like, Lord, why did this have to happen? Out of all the things that could have occurred, like, why did it have to be this, or why even him? And so one of the things that had really I had felt a lot of guilt, in his loss, because I just felt like I could have probably did more just to reach out in his life. Could have used my time to spend more time with him. And at the end of the day, also knowing that, things are going to happen in life that we won't have control over. And so one of the things that was actually one of the, I would say the icing on the cake for me to seek counseling. And so, when I saw a Christian counselor, that was really one of the reasons as to why, to be able to process my guilt, process my loss of losing him, and how could I be able just to move on with life. It definitely shifted me when it came to youth ministry, because it was like the one young person that I would want around is no longer here. And so it was definitely a huge blow. One of the things that was helpful also as well, in addition to counseling, was, the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute, and going there and doing different activities, such as like their sand therapy that they do, and just going to some of the different workshops was definitely helpful for me to grieve and process, and to actually verbalize, my feelings, but also even verbalize the fact that he was gone. Was truly tough, but it was helpful. I mean, they say, time heals all wounds. It doesn't heal anything, because it doesn't bring the individual back. But over time, things have gotten a little better.
Wow. Yeah, our condolences. And
Thank
that these moments that happen, and one of the things that you mentioned, of course, is as Christians, and as we encounter different moments in our life that are not so pleasant. Um, how did this mold you as a leader, when it comes to walking through these different spaces of shock, anger, the confusion, and getting to the place where you could walk in what we call acceptance of the fact that he is gone?
Yeah. It definitely took time. So my cousin Alvin, uh, I would say one of the things that have helped me in terms of molding me as a leader has been to have conversations with people, to be able to debrief, kind of process. It definitely made me more empathetic to those that lose loved ones. Like one of the things that really shook me was that people go through this every day.
Mm.
That was one of the things that really got me when he was murdered. I was like, there's people that go through this every day across, the country, across this world. And it was like, wow, why does this have to happen? So that definitely did something to me. It made me want to become more of, like an advocate for, my neighborhood. It made me want to just pray more for, seeking the peace of the city. It definitely just made me to just be more grateful for life, and not take things for granted, because you just never know when the last time you might see someone, or when your last time here on earth may be. And so as a leader, I would say it just kind of just shifted me to just do my best each and every day. And just draw, closer to family members and your peers and friends.
Well, but that's powerful. That in many times in our lives we don't just realize that God does something with us as individuals as we go through these different dark places and spaces where we just wonder, okay, God, where are you? And it also molds us and molds our faith in how we moment, and it can be turned into a place where it can be a powerful testimony and a powerful way of reaching people that we probably couldn't reach before. And you mentioned that one of the things that it has really made you aware of the importance of advocating. We just uh, advocates for justice, and just sharing that, how do we add our voice and how do we advocate? And you work with young people, so talk about ways that you were able to advocate for people and advocate for someone who really needed that support, because it really, out of this experience of going through this dark place, it really made you aware that people do need advocates. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I feel like I could do a much better job with that. I would say, during that season of time, I did find myself more connected with the Peace Institute. And so that was my way of just uh, lending more so my support to the efforts that they do to help other families. And I also just found myself kind of, starting to get more connected with like the community neighborhood association, just to know what's going on, just to know how I can be of support to, what's happening in the neighborhood. And I would just say it was also just trying to find ways to do more positive things or get connected with other groups where I could just have an opportunity with just some youth and just be able to just either lend my voice or just lend my support. Um, so I would just say those are some different things, but definitely I do see a need that I personally feel like I could have more hands on the ground, more feet on the ground to do more things in regards to that, be an advocate. And of course, advocacy, looks different for everyone, but I personally feel like I could do more. I want to do more in terms of like that tangible aspect with it.
That's good. Um, we only got a few minutes left, actually. So, being that you are working for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, how does your job and your faith, how do you integrate those two?
I would say that's something I'm still working on. But one of the things that I've definitely saw more of a need to do was just to be mm, more effective in my work, so that I could just show Christ through the work I do. Um, and so in terms of my faith, it's just just going to work and just putting my best foot forward, and just doing, working as hard as I can, be as try to do things with the spirit of excellence. Definitely be more of uh, a role model or a team player, you could say. But in regards to my faith, just I would say I've just learned to just be more loving, more Christ-like to people, and to also, uh, if I have a situation, of course I pray. But I would say, just being confident in the work I do, and when I'm not able to, be able to do, just ask for help. But for me, it's in my role, like I do a lot of like administration and customer service work. So just working with different people, meeting different people has been truly a blessing and rewarding. to know that the little things that I do have been helpful for people in their career or just their everyday life. So I would say for when it comes to my faith, just trying to do things the best I can, just to show Christ, the Christ in me, without having to say, Jesus, at work, but just to show that I am, a light in the workplace.
That's great. Well, thank you so much. I think we've run out of time, and I appreciate your talking about your journey, and also being mentored, and just that story as well to help others in a process where they need healing from grief and loss as you mourn the loss of your loved one. Thank you for sharing what you shared tonight, and that it was helpful even to me, just listening to what God had to share with us through you. So thank you, Pastor Kenneth. We just appreciate you coming, and we just thank you so much for doing this interview.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our time for this evening, and thank you so much again for supporting Bishop Larry Ward Live, BLAW Live as we call it. And again, if you are enjoying what you're hearing, and if please subscribe, but also take some time to go back and listen to some of the archive programs from BLAW Live. I'm sure that you'll be strengthened and you'll enjoy them as well. So thank you. God bless you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord cause his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious unto you and give you his shalom, his peace, nothing missing, nothing broken. Until we meet again, have a good evening. Take care now.